Hey guys, how are you? It's Zach from Zach Loves Books. Welcome back once again. I don't know, maybe this is my seventh, eighth, ninth video. I've lost count by now, but things are going pretty good. I had some challenges. The other day I had to redo a video 4 times because I couldn't figure out the, the wired mic. I had to do like 4 takes, but by the time that the one for my April to be reads is the one that I had to redo. The good thing is that by the time I got to the fourth round, even though it was unscripted, um, I knew the material or what I was going to say pretty well. So I was able to keep it brief, and guess much less about what I was going to say. But, anyways, here we are again. It's a beautiful day out up here, Toronto, Canada. And so, like I said, thanks again for coming back. Today, I just wanted to talk about, I guess, reading journeys. So, and maybe how you started your reading journey, um, whether you stumbled upon my channel and you're not really a book lover, or you've read a couple of books and you're looking for some recommendations, or you're looking for like-minded, people in a book-loving community, and just seeing what's out there. There's a lot of us apparently out on the booktube community. But I guess what I want to explore today is, is how did you come to discover your love of reading books? And if you didn't or haven't discovered, what your obsession is with books, like whether you love reading or not, and you're maybe even on the fence about it because maybe every book you read is a slog, or it's hard, or you don't read. I think you're gonna find that everybody comes to it in a different way. Everyone has their own epiphany where one day they just read something and they're like, oh, that book was so amazing, and now I want to read something else. So if you haven't discovered books that you love, or you think you don't like reading, or, like I hear some kids out there saying, oh, books suck, then I just think you haven't discovered what type of book you like to read. So, um, I mean, it doesn't just come to you immediately. I mean, some people read all their lives as soon as they're able to, and then they gravitate towards a certain genre. But for me, it was a little different. The way that my story happened was, I was like every other average kid, I guess around 7 or 8 or whatever. I got my tonsils out, and I was in the hospital, and I gained some weight because I was eating ice cream and all this other crap, and I became like a tubby kid. And so at school, I couldn't play on the teams because I was the last to get picked, and I kind of just succumbed to the notion that I sucked at sports. And I guess maybe I would have liked sports if I wasn't a tubby kid and I didn't go through that, but I did. And I would go to the library every day instead, like in the summer, while my brother was out playing sports with his friends, and I'd want to hang out with him, but he would like push me away, so I would go to the local library, and that's where I spent hours every day, just perusing through books and just grabbing whatever got my attention on the shelf. And I can distinctly remember grabbing books about like um, building nuclear bunkers in case there was a nuclear war and it was going to be the end of the world. And I got obsessed with those kind of books, and I was telling my parents that, we should build a bunker, but, and I was obsessed with books that were like kind of beyond my age. I mean, what kid at 10 years old is reading about nuclear fallout, and the aftermath of a nuclear war? But you find that you go back, you think back to when you fell in love with books, and then sometimes you want to go to these different bookstores and find those books that made you fall in love with reading. Um, So this is one that I picked up, um, Hiroshima by John Hersey. I read this as a kid. I don't remember it. And this is a great copy of it. Looks like a short read. It's history. It's, I guess, it's written from the standpoint of survivors, Japanese survivors of the bomb that was dropped in Hiroshima. Um, Factoid, another bomb was dropped on Nagasaki as well. And I only remember these facts because I read about them as a kid. And, I was just horrified, at reading and seeing the images that I saw on TV and reading how nuclear bombs could destroy the world and the damage they did in Japan. But that's one that, I picked up, and um, I may get to it this year, but just want to share it with you guys in case anybody is interested in checking it out. It's a short read. I don't know if you'll be able to find it, but I did. Um, One of the first books that I fell in love with as a kid, kind of weird. It's called The Last Canadian by William C. Hine. I know there's a fantasy author with a similar name, so it would kind of be annoying for me to go to used bookstores and look for William C. Hine, but I'd find, I think, William Heinlein or something like that, and it'd be fantasy books. But for years I was searching for this book, and I went to one used bookstore and I found it, and they were selling it for $26, and it was in a sealed bag, and I'm like, I'm not gonna pick it up. But then I found this at a book sale a year or two back, and it just brought me right back to that same time when I used to go to those libraries and pick up books and just get lost in them for the summer. This is one of the first books I could probably say that I ever uh, at least remember reading and enjoying. The basic premise is it's about a Canadian man who lives with his family, I think, in Montreal, and he's listening to the news in his car, and he starts hearing about you know uh, some virus that's going around the states, and people are just dropping dead. So he gets the foresight to grab his family and fly them in a Cessna way up north, I guess, into the further reaches of Quebec and isolate them from everybody. And from what I've reread so far, which I started to read it again, um, this virus is moving pretty fast. So he knows he has to move quick. And, he gets his family up north. And then there's a twist. I don't know if I should tell you about it or not. Maybe after I'm finished reading it, I'll review it, tell you the twist, and you can cover your ears if you don't want to hear it. But this is kind of like one of those, post-apocalyptic novels that are popular today. This is like, out of print now. You cannot get this. But like I said, I'm bringing it up for nostalgic purposes. It was one of the first books that I remember reading, liking, loving, and it kickstarted my love for reading. And this is one I'm going to cherish and hang on to. And when I reread it, I'll let you guys know if I loved it or hated it, or if it read the same way as it did when I was a kid. One of the other books that this is a weird one, actually. The Mouse and the Motorcycle by Beverly Cleary. This is weird because I was at a book sale and I saw it, and I don't remember reading this, but when I saw it at the book sale, I was like, I remember this. And suddenly something in my brain said, yeah, you loved that book as a kid. And what stuck out to me was this mouse on a motorcycle with a helmet. So, maybe I'll reread it at some point. Just for nostalgic purposes, I may read it to my son or read it with him. But it's weird how your mind just takes you back, and then all of a sudden you start remembering, books that you didn't know you read as a kid. And maybe I read more books that I forgot about. But it's there. I'll probably get to it later this year, or maybe not. But if I do, I'll let you guys know. Mm. And then there is these RPG type books, uh, role playing game books. If you don't know what RPG means, this is way before like video games and Nintendos and Segas and what you kids distract themselves with. Like this is literally like a video game in a book, almost like the Choose Your Own Adventure books, which I loved as well. The Abominable Snowman. These two are similar, though this one, Death Trap Dungeon, that was like I was looking for this for years, and I found it, and really cool. There's like in the beginning here, there's like a chart, and it tells you all the rules, and you have like your skill and stamina, items carried, all your weapons. And then as you go through the book, you encounter like different monsters, and you got to roll dice and like fight them. And then, kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, but I actually got into this before Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't really get into Dungeons and Dragons, but this was cool because not only just it had words mixed with pictures in it, but in the beginning of this book, a bunch of warriors come to some town where there's a contest every year where you all go into a dungeon, and I guess the winner is the one that comes out alive, and nobody really comes out alive. So yeah, just a fun book that I remember reading as a kid. Um, I don't know if you can see this, but there's the graphic of everybody coming in, to participate in the contest. And then, it has really cool pictures in it. Still available if you can find it. So that's a keeper for me as well. But getting back to the Choose Your Own Adventure books, these are some of the first books too I also fell in love with. Um, I mean, they're so ancient now, but they're still fun to read. Because they have cool graphics on the front. They're filled with graphics on the inside. If you don't know what a Choose Your Own Adventure book is, and I'd be surprised, if you didn't know what it was. Basically, it starts out with a couple of pages that sets the premise of the story, and then from there, you reach some kind of crossroads where you have to choose to either go, this way or that way. And based on what you choose, you either like go to the next step and then choose again, or you die. And then if you die, you can just start the book over again, choose differently, and you just keep going, making different choices until you get to the end where they'll let you know kind of like this is the end, and you didn't die, and this is how the book ends. Otherwise, you could die really fast, and then the book is over in a couple of pages. But you'll get to a point where you've done every possible scenario, and you go, yeah, I think I read the entire book. But you can still find these at book sales. You can find them at the local library. You might be able to find newer versions, like this is the older cover. I don't know if you can see that. These are the newer covers, Mystery of the Maya. The old covers are still really cool. And that's the new covers. Not as enticing as the old covers, just because I remember them looking cool. But I actually found a cool box set at a book sale, which is amazing. Like in this box set, I'll show you. Like this was my absolute favorite one, Lost on the Amazon. I can clearly remember reading this as a kid and loving it. So when I found it in this box set, I was like, oh, like I couldn't believe it. Felt like Indiana Jones finding this. But yeah, what a treasure. I'm never gonna get rid of this. I've given some away before, but I'm gonna keep that. Like this one, Search for the Mountain Gorillas. Maybe this is the reason why I like Gorillas in the Mist, but this was before Gorillas in the Mist. But just as a kid, you love to read these type of books, and that's what I'm saying. Anything to get a kid to read is amazing. Sabotage, this it was about World War I or two or something, where it has spies and things like that. And I don't even read stuff like this now, but I did as a kid. So, and then there were this like this is a spin-off from the Choose Your Own Adventure. It's called Time Machine, the Time Machine books. There's one on dinosaurs where you travel back to the dinosaur age, and this one you travel back to medieval Japan. And I don't know if you become um, a samurai warrior, but once again, similar to the Choose Your Own Adventure books. Great little illustrations. Make a choice, go through a story. Um, yeah, just really ninja on the back. So these are the books that I fell in love with when I was a kid. And I mean, look at me now. I'm like, Zach loves books. And I'm surrounded by books. And, when I'm not at work, I'm around books. I'm either buying books, looking at books, I'm at a bookstore. And so books have been that constant in my life, and they make me happy. So I'm assuming because you're here, books make you happy too. And if you haven't found those books that make you happy, or like those books that have made you fall in love with reading, then just keep looking. You're going to find something, some genre. Like for me, I went through different stages. That was when I was a kid. And then, in high school, my brother was reading books about serial killers, and I kind of got into that. And then we started reading books about, the American penal system and books about jail. And then now, I mean, I've read a lot of jail memoirs, and they're amazing stories of redemption. And it's a little niche, but I like that too. And I have a huge true crime collection. I'm going to be reviewing some of those later as well. But like I said in my previous video, if you haven't checked it out, the my April TBRs, even true crime memoirs, the prison memoirs, it all sounds like it's dark, but it's all the same kind of pattern, underlying theme of the books that I like. But let me know what you like. Yeah, I'd be interested to find out. Just in the comments, let me know what's that one book that got you into reading as a kid, or what's one of your favorite books. And I hope to hear from you soon. All right, that's it for now, guys. We'll see you in the next one.